I bought this used NES by Nintendo off of eBay. The previous seller says that it doesn't work. Yeah, let's see if we can fix it. Welcome to Fix and Repair Daily. All right, so first things first, let's go ahead and grab the box of stuff that came with this. And we're gonna need some AV cables and the power supply that the seller included, which is not an original, it's an aftermarket. We'll grab a controller and a game. All right, now that we have everything hooked up, we can go ahead and power it on. We got a gray screen. There's a little bit of a line going through here, which is interesting. We don't have a blinking red light on the console, but that means that it's doing something, it's just not doing the right thing. So let's go ahead and pop that game out really quickly. Let's give it a quick clean, because like I said, none of this stuff is tested. So we'll clean this game real quick and try again. So everybody always has their own opinion as to the best way to clean games and just contacts in general on old electronics. My opinion is let's use the least amount of force possible to get the job done. I've seen people use like sandpaper and things like that, and it works in the short term, but I'm not sure how it's going to do in the long term, because you're removing part of that coating and you can probably expect it to corrode faster the second time. So I like to be as not aggressive as possible, because I don't want to damage these gold-plated pins. Now, these are kind of grubby. So the best way that I've found is, if you just need to clean it, take a little IPA, it's isopropyl alcohol, and just rub the pins like this with some sort of paper towel or a soft cloth. And most of the time on these games, that's going to be enough. You can see some brown nasty came off of that. Now, if you need to step it up a notch, you can get a magic eraser, and this one's kind of seen better days. But you can grab one of these, once again, a little bit of isopropyl, and then just gently polish those pins. We're not trying to take any of the metal off. We're just trying to gently rub it off. And the magic eraser is slightly abrasive, and so it does a little bit of polishing, I guess, without doing so much damage as like real sandpaper does. And then we can just dry it off and get any kind of residue off of them. Yeah, just like that. So it's really simple. If you got more corrosion, there might be more that you need to do. Like you may have to use something more aggressive like sandpaper. It's just not the best option to start with. So I saw in Adrian's Digital Basement the other day, he had a, I think it was a graphics card that was like junk found. It was going to be trashed anyways. It had major damage to it. And so he ended up having to do a little bit more. He used some navel jelly to do that. So that's a little bit more aggressive. And he ended up having to tin the pins afterwards. But, you know, that card was severely damaged, severely corroded, and it wouldn't have survived if he hadn't done the work, right? But if it's a clean pin like on this one, and frankly, most NES games that I've come across over the years have relatively clean pins, then you just want to use something light and airy. Okay, so that's clean. Let's go ahead and chunk that back in the machine and see what happens. All right, we got the same error. You know, let's try one more thing. I don't think that it's going to be the thing, but I don't know if I trust this power supply. Let's grab a replacement. And through the magic of ordering parts before I shot this video, I just happen to already have one. Put our game back in. Plug our controller back in. Yeah, turn it back on. Nope, same problem. So the power supply was good. It's going to be something on the machine. That's interesting. Notice when I reset it, it did start. I wonder if that button was like stuck in a reset state or something. Huh. That was completely accidental. I hit the wrong button. All right, well, at least we know the console is sort of running. So yeah, let's go ahead and crack it open and take a look inside, see what we can find. All right, so here we are back on the workbench. Now this is the good old days when, oh look, that one doesn't even have a, this must be a later revision. I'm not super familiar with the NESs, but I do know that there's supposed to be like an expansion port there. And they may have deleted it in the later consoles, but yeah, so this is a just standard Phillips head screwdriver. So we'll just use our standard setup here. This one may actually be too small. I may have to go get a bigger. Well, it seems to be working fine. Here we go with the wow stick again. All right, let's go get a different screwdriver. Yeah, this one's gonna work better. I don't want to damage these screws. What's funny is this toll-free number's been on here since like 1984, and I'm pretty sure if you call it, it's still Nintendo. Still doing their deal. Not many electronics out there that you can do that on, but I think Nintendo's one of them. It's pretty cool. So my first time playing an NES was actually at my cousin's house when I was a kid. I had an N64. That's my first like major console. I had a Game Boy. Was our first like game that I ever played. But the thing about it was he was younger than me, so I think it was like my uncle's, which was kind of funny because if you know my uncle, he is not a gamer. But yeah, they had an NES, and I remember we played Duck Hunt and Mario Brothers. And I don't remember him having any other consoles, but I do. I mean, not consoles, but games. But I do remember those. And it was funny because I distinctly remember one time we were trying to load a game and it wouldn't load, so he pulled it out and he blew on the cartridge, and he would have had to have been like 4 or 5 at the time. It was, yeah, it's pretty funny. It's one of those memories that sticks with you. Okay, so tops off. This one's actually in really good shape. It's part of the reason I got this one, because I think it'll hold up well. Okay, tops off. Go ahead and pull that game out. The previous, or the seller, I guess, previous owner, seller, whatever, said they had been in here before. I think that they may have swapped out the cartridge connector because they also included several other cartridge connectors, and all these are aftermarket. And the thing about aftermarket ones are they are hit or miss. You see like resale shops like I think it's like Hidden Kingdom or Hidden Castle, whatever it is. They're funny. They do a bunch of repairs and stuff too, and you see them all the time. They'll do like an NES repair and they'll just rip that old connector off and they'll chuck a new one on. And if they found like a good supplier, then sure, that works. And it's easy. But I'm sure, you know, they seem above board, so I'm sure that what they're doing is great. But for me, I've never been able to find like a good replacement edge connector. And yeah, can't tell yet, but I think that may be an aftermarket one, which could be causing our problem. So what I did was I went ahead and went on eBay and I got a replacement, and it's actually an original cartridge connector, and they polished it. It's still got a little grub on it, but the connectors are all polished. Yeah, it looks pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's also 40 years old, right? Yeah, there's definitely some differences. But this is an original, so we're going to pull this one and swap it out with that original one and see if that changes our problem any. Now, full disclosure, it has been a long time since I've been inside of an NES, and I may not be opening this in the most efficient way possible, but we're gonna make it happen anyways. If you've never seen inside of an NES, they're pretty cool little machines. You know, it was the first, like, it wasn't the first major home console, but it was the first major home console from Nintendo, and it was the console that kind of like rebounded the industry after the big like video game crash a few years before it. So yeah, I've always liked Nintendo. I know a lot of people have gripes with them. They make kid games, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, I think they've got some really good IP. And maybe that's just because I grew up playing Nintendo. Who knows? But like, man, I had like the Nintendo 64. That was our first console. We had the Game Boy before that. And then when I got older, I saved up my money and I bought a GameCube. And that's why you've seen some GameCube stuff on this channel. I still have my original Nintendo 64 and my original Game Boy. My Game Boy is going to be another video on this channel. And then, yeah, I went, the Switch actually came out on my birthday. And so I went launch night and bought a Nintendo Switch. And then I had a Wii U, but I didn't get it when it came out because it's kind of a dumpster fire. But we've got one of those coming up in the video too. And then, yeah, we have a Switch. Or my wife has a Switch. I don't have a Switch anymore. But yeah, it was, I've always been a big Nintendo person. I always loved Zelda, Mario, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, I can get down with PlayStation 2 as well. And Xbox and stuff. So, okay, so cool. We got that pulled. Yeah. So this just kind of slides out here. That's the mechanism there. And then this cartridge connector just pulls off. All right. And sure enough, you can tell that it is different. If you look at the bottom here, this one has like a little mark there that one doesn't have. This one is flat, whereas that one's recessed. So there's definitely some differences. We're going to set that to the side. And we are going to go ahead and get this console cleaned up just a little bit. I think all of the solder joints are good. It's kind of hard for you guys to see, but it looks fine. And yeah, main thing, we're just going to clean the 72 pins that 72 pin connector goes into. And they look a little crusty, so we're going to jump straight into Magic Eraser this time. Like I said, it's slightly abrasive, but not nearly as abrasive as something like sandpaper or something like that, Brillo pad. So I'm just going to give that a good polish. Yeah, look at all that stuff that came off. Those are super dirty pins. So we're going to hit this side with the same kind of dirty IPA. Yeah, that was really, really gross. And then let's come back again with that paper towel and some fresh just to clean up anything that's on there. And then we'll hit it one more time with the Magic Eraser. Yeah, that's pretty gross. So, Magic Eraser one more time. And this board's sticky. It's got like flux residue all over it. So it's probably going to get a run through the ultrasonic cleaner. I'll probably have to take off a couple things. But yeah, it definitely needs a good cleaning. It's just sticky. Okay, so, yuck. My hands are sticky now. Okay, so we got that. Let's go ahead and grab that 72 pin. This is the old one. Yep. Pop that right on here. There we go. And then we'll grab the tray. Oh, no. Put it on upside down. There we go. And there we go. That's the right way. All right, and now the tray will just slide back on. And we're not going to fully reassemble this yet. We're just going to put everything back together, like connection-wise, and then we can test it. Believe it or not, the blue connector goes to the blue, and then these labeled player 1 and player 2. Yeah, I think it's P41 and P42. So, like I said, I'm not a huge NES, like, I don't know a whole bunch about it, so just kind of futzing our way through this one. Okay. Got that set back in, and let's go back over to the TV and see how it goes. All right, so we're gonna go game straight back in. And start or power. Yeah, same issue. Okay, so let's try something silly. Take the tray out completely. Put the game in. I don't have the screws in there. Yeah, okay. So it may just be, it's still making bad contact. So let's take a look here. All those pins look like they're bent correctly. Is there a little bit of corrosion on that? There is. There's straight up corrosion down there. Huh. Yeah, okay. So those pins, remember how I said, like, I don't think that corrosion is going to be a problem. What is, there's corrosion down in this connector. Which is funny because it's giving the exact same error kind of that it gave before. Okay, so I guess what we're going to do is I'm going to run this through the ultrasonic to try to clean that up. The ultrasonic has water, but it also has an electronics cleaner, and it cleans and also coats. And then after that, yeah, the seller really got me on this one. We're gonna have to go back up and bend these pins. You can see that pin is a little bit higher than those others. So yeah, I got taken on this one, but whatever. Let's just run it through and get it fixed. I'll pop this in here for a second. I'm gonna turn the sound off because it's really awful to hear. But let's see if it powders off any stuff. We're looking right here. Those are the pins. So let's go ahead and turn this on. Oh yeah, you can see it wisping off the backside. So we'll just let it run for a few minutes. I'm not gonna make you sit here and watch this, but yeah, we're gonna run it. So we pulled this out of the bath now, and it looks a lot cleaner. There's a little bit of corrosion left here that we can see, but it's definitely way better than it was. So now what we're gonna do, it's gonna be kind of hard to see on camera, but I'm gonna come in here to every single pin and bend it up. And what that's gonna let us do is just get a little bit better contact with that game. And the seller of this cart connector said that they had already done both of these things, but you know, it would appear not. Some people are just playing like numbers games on eBay. You know, the volume makes up for the lack of work. And, you know, if that's the way you want to do it, that's fine. It's just frustrating. I don't think I'm going to try to get any money back on this, because at the end of the day, this is a fix and repair channel, so we're just going to fix it ourselves. But just be aware that if you're buying parts for yourself, people don't always tell the truth. And I've been selling on eBay for a long time. I always try to tell the truth in my listings. But you know what? Even I miss one every now and then. I have to go back and, you know, bite the bullet and take the refund, you know, that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to give the seller the benefit of the doubt here and say that maybe they just had this one slip through the cracks. And that's okay, because we're going to get it fixed up and get it back used. Or get it back in use. Really, this doesn't take that long. If I didn't have a bunch of aftermarket connectors, we would have just done this with the one that was in there. But like I said, I just haven't had good luck with aftermarket connectors for the NES. Some people do. Just me, I haven't had good luck. Everybody does their repairs differently, and that's okay. The main thing is that we want to fix this stuff and get it to last longer. And everybody does it kind of in a different way. And as long as everybody's getting the stuff back in use, that's what's important. Because sure, you can buy these relatively cheaply on eBay, right? I mean, you're looking at probably $30 to $50 for a broken one, but that's for now, right? As these things continue to get recycled and things like that, there are not going to be as many of them, and so the more we can kind of keep in commission, the better. Okay, so those are all good on the bottom, or let's see, I think that's the top. That's where it interfaces with the card. The bottom connector looks fine. I'm not even going to do anything with it. It looks clean and nice. Got one or two pins maybe that need a little bit more help here. But yeah, those are looking really good. So, of course, this connector still has water in it, so I don't want to do a bunch with it, but yeah, that's a nice solid connection there. Definitely better than it was. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and throw this into the dehydrator and let it get really dry before we reassemble and try again. Quick side note, if you're enjoying these videos, I really appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe. We've grown a ton in the last few weeks, and I really appreciate everybody who's subscribed or watched or left a comment. It really means a lot. I appreciate you guys a lot. So we're gonna get back into the NES, but we got some other projects on the way. So I appreciate you guys, and let's get back to it. So this is out of the dehumidifier now. So we'll go ahead and put it back together again. Pop that in. Pop this back on. And just like last time, I don't have the screws in, so I may have to put a little tweak on it to make it do right. But I think that we're going to get a lot better result now that that is clean. Let's go ahead and put the game in and set it down. Like I said, it's not screwed in, so we'll see. Power it on. Same problem. Okay, so let's go ahead and put screws back in it, because putting that downward pressure on it seems to have helped. So let's screw it all back together and see if that fixes it. If it doesn't, we may have to take a look at some other connections and see if those are causing it. I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. Go ahead and put the bottom shield back on. Hey, look, it does have an expansion port. Just that plate hasn't been broken out. I think maybe we actually have to unplug these cables first. Get this on here really well. Boom, boom, boom. And there's that. Plug it all back together. You know, I don't actually know if all the IR shielding is necessary on this machine, because, you know, back in the 80s, they had way more regulation, but some of the devices actually like required it for grounding and stuff. So I don't know about the NES. Like, I know the Commodore 64, the first thing that most people do when they open up one of those is just throw away pretty much all the IR shielding, which is comical, but that's what happens. All right, so we'll put that back in. Got the two weird screws here that went to the front. And then I think every other screw on this whole console is the same after that. Whoops. Whoops again. Oops. Man, I'm really just not getting it right. There we go. That's in. Go ahead and put in the other ones for this slot. So I think that might be our main issue at this point. because it's not making a good connection. So I may just have to make sure everything is bent. There's actually a mod for this that's about to come out. If you saw it on Retro Renew over at Macho Nacho, that uses a different type of mechanism for this. I've actually got one of those on order, but hasn't shipped yet. I'm not exactly sure when I'll be getting mine. So we'll probably do a redux on this thing once that comes in. But it'd be good to try to get this one working first. Okay, so that's all those connections. I don't think we need to put the other ones in. We just need to try this out. All right, guys, I'm pretty confident on that. Everything feels tight and good. So let's go ahead and just button this bad boy back up together. Now, one thing on this is obviously an old piece of equipment. It is designed to run on CRTs, LCDs, and LEDs, and all that stuff didn't even exist when this was created. And so when we boot it up, we're probably going to see some artifacting, like a lot of artifacting on the LCD screen over there. So that's just kind of par for the course when you're working with retro games like this, or retro computers or whatever. So one way you can deal with it is doing something like a RGB mod, which is available for the NES. It's kind of expensive, and then you still have to do like a HDMI if you want to go to a modern TV. So it still has to be adapted. There was something I saw pop up a couple days ago, which is like an internal mod that makes the RF output an HDMI signal that goes to an adapter. It was kind of interesting. Never seen that before. But yeah, so like the gold standard would be just run this thing on a CRT television, and yeah, I've got one here. The colors are bad on it. I think it might need a cap kit, but we're gonna try it out and just see how it looks, and hopefully we'll get a good picture. I'm like nervously looking over at my screws because I'm afraid I'm gonna have extra. How many were on the bottom? Does anybody remember? Gaming? How many? We'll find out in a second. Gaming's probably saying on the screen. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because that's how many posts are sticking up. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 left. Great. I love it when a plan comes together. Pop the cover back on the bottom. Grab the top. And like I said, this thing's in great shape. It doesn't have any major discoloration or anything. And it's really clean on the inside, honestly. You see some dirty ones, but this one's in good shape. Got some rain coming in finally. I don't know if you can hear that. You will in a minute for sure if it rains harder. The shop is super loud when it rains. But really needed it. I put some new grass seed down the other day, and it's just been hot and dry. Now, when we test this on, I'll go ahead and get that CRT out, because if we test this on the LCD, we're not going to have any sound because there's no sound on that monitor. So yeah, we'll need to test it on something with a speaker, like a CRT. Yeah, I'm pretty confident that that's going to fix it. So we did a lot. We did a lot to that little connector. We cleaned it and we cleaned it and dried it and bent it and reset it. So, all right, let's go over and look at the TV. We've got the NES hooked up here to this Commodore CRT. CRT's turned on, and you're gonna see that the colors are really messed up. That's gonna be a whole different video. We gotta do a cap kit on this. But the main thing is I want to see if there's any artifacting from this, and then I want to see if if everything works right. When we plugged in an LCD earlier in the video, we saw the colors were right-ish. They're off a little bit because just that LCD, it doesn't match up right. But it's going to be really bad on this. So let's go ahead and turn it on and see if it works. Nice. I don't know if you've got the scrolling band or not. I tried to change my frame rate, but who knows. Yeah, sweet. All right, we got to get a flower, fire flower so that we can test the B button here. I'm not super good at this game. Yep, that's working great. Start, select. Okay, so let's switch over to the other controller here. Because we had two. All right, we'll try it out as well. We got fire, we got jump. Yep, everything's working great. Awesome. Okay, so reset button works great. Let's try one other game. I've got Solstice, which I've never played before, but I got it with some other games. Put that in, power it on. All right, so I went ahead and pulled Solstice out, and I cleaned it, put it back in, and it's working fine now. I did read online that a lot of people recommend not pushing the game down and just running it in the up position because it doesn't put as much stress on that connector. Yeah. But yeah, everything seems to be working fine now, even in the down position. So I think it was just a dirty game, and we got some more crud on the connector. It's working fine now. So let's look at Solstice for just a second, because I never played it. That's some sweet music right there. Okay, I've never played this game before. Oh, this is cool. The last thing we need to do is open up both of these controllers and clean them really well. If we're going to sell this thing as refurbished, it actually needs to be refurbished. So we refurbished the insides, the outside's good. So we're just going to go ahead and clean all the contactors and everything inside of these two controllers and outside, and then they will be good to go to their new owner. So let's get on that. All right. So these are pretty straightforward, just like the rest of this console. It's just 6 screws on the outside. This WoW stick is struggling. Probably has a low battery. But yeah, if you're gonna be repairing things to resell, if you're gonna sell them as refurbished, you really need to make sure you go all out and get all the things and refurbish all of them. Just because, I mean, think about it from your standpoint. If you were going and buying something, whether it's on eBay or Amazon or somebody's website, and you're like, I'm gonna get this thing, and then your idea is that it's been fully cleaned, tested, refurbished, right? And then you get it and it's just grubby, right? There's just like garbage around the edges and stuff. It's really gonna put a bad taste in your mouth, and a customer might actually want to return that. So yeah, so it's just best to keep it all good and clean and stuff, and just do everything you say you're going to do, right? If you're going to refurbish something, refurbish all of it, not just part of it. So we'll go ahead and clean these contacts, and these you don't want to scrub them because they're not metal contacts. I think they're like carbon contacts. I don't know. PCB information, like how it's manufactured. But yeah, it's just best to keep up with this stuff. But yeah, so you don't want to scrub those too hard, but those are good and clean now. And then you also want to pull all these button pads out and all the buttons, because you can see here there's like crust around the outside of this button. So I'm actually going to probably pop these all in ultrasonic and just let them sit in there for a minute. I won't pop the front face in because I don't want to damage the label, because these are actually in decent shape label wise. We'll scrub those, but all the buttons and stuff, they'll go into the ultrasonic, because look at this, it's disgusting. So we'll get that clean. And one trick there for the ultrasonic is if you want to run some really nasty stuff in there, but you don't want to mess up all your good cleaning solution in your ultrasonic cleaner, you can just put it in a plastic bag full of cleaner and run that instead. Like run it. So you take a plastic bag, fill it with your water and cleaner, and then put that in your ultrasonic water, sealed, and then the ultrasonic waves will pass through the plastic bag and clean your stuff. But then all the nasty stuff will just be stuck in the plastic bag. It won't get out into your bigger tank. So I used to do that a lot when I was cleaning stuff all the time. So it also cuts down how much solution you have to use, because you can fill your tank up all the way, like as high as it needs to go, with regular old water, and then you just have your expensive water in a bag or in a jar, and then you can, ooh yeah, that was crusty, and then you can you know, just use as little as you need to actually get the job done. Now this is kind of cool. You can see it's the same layout pretty much, but the boards are different, and it's probably because they were manufactured by different companies. Kind of cool. All right, so pull this one out. Yeah, and even the membranes are different color. One last thing I'll tell you before we chunk all this in the ultrasonic is we're also going to clean the wires on these really, really well, because if you don't clean the wires and they come in all grubby, the person's not going to think you cleaned anything, because the wires are like the easiest thing to clean. You just grab a paper towel and some IPA and just rub down the end of the wire. So be sure you do that too. It's just, that's one of those little things that goes a long way. So yeah, I'm still gonna have to clean these, but I'm not gonna put the label and everything in the ultrasonic. So yeah, let's bag these up and chuck them in to clean. So yeah, we're gonna put all this in here. Okay, and then we will pour a little bit of water in here. Some people are like, distilled water, but I'm just cleaning gunk off of plastic here, so I don't need distilled water. It's different when you're doing like the electrical components. And then we're gonna put a couple pumps of just soap. Then seal it up. The easiest way to do this is to actually submerge it in water. But essentially what you want to do is you want to get all the air out of the bag, so it's a sealed tight thing. So we'll go ahead and do that. Stick it in the ultrasonic. All right, like I said, the easiest way to do this is to submerge the bag and open it up so the air can come out. Just push the whole thing underwater and then seal it up right there at the top. And then there's very little air in that. And then we'll just put the whole thing here into the cleaner. We'll set it to run. All right, so now that these have been cleaned, I just soaked those. I didn't ultrasonic, I just soaked them for a minute. But these have been ultrasonic cleaned. We'll go ahead and put them in this bucket. And the thing about it is you want to have a good scrubby brush, because there's all kinds of little cracks and crevices on these. You just make sure you get them all nice and clean, even on the back side. And if you kind of submerge them while you scrub, if your water's warm, you get bonus points, because it just cleans off even better. Yeah, that's good. Make sure on this type of controller that's got like this lip, you always want to make sure you scrubbed right into that lip, because it makes a big grossness if you don't. It just looks bad. And then also you want to just be double sure you get where all the buttons go. So that's that one. And then we'll need to rinse the soap off of these two, so I'm just going to set that to the side. And it's kind of funny, you can see, I don't know if it was a, like I said, these were probably manufactured by different companies for Nintendo, and I don't know if it's the color plastic, like when it came out, if it's different, or if the different plastics that the different manufacturers use just have aged differently. But if you look at, oh, my brush is wet. If you look at this one compared to that one, they're definitely different color. And I just don't know if that's because they've aged differently or not. Now, I can see where I missed on the inside of this button here, there's still some, you probably cannot see it, but there's still some nasty. So I need to make sure that I get in there really good. And it'd be better if I had like a pipe cleaner kind of a brush, but I don't. So we'll just have to work extra hard with this brush. So I'm actually going to just put all these back in here because I'm going to take this to the sink and rinse all these off really well, wash my hands really well. And then all this will go into the dehumidifier or the dehydrator until they are nice and dry, and we can put it all back together. So before we put these back together now, we are going to do the last thing, which is to clean these cables. Like I said, it's really, really simple. You want to just get some IPA, put it onto a paper towel or a towel in this case. And then we're just going to kind of twist the wire through while I'm putting a good bit of pressure on it. All right. And you might have to do it a few times, but we just want to make sure that it looks really, really nice and clean. You can see all the dirt that came off of that. And that takes about 3 seconds, but it makes it look so much better. Got our parts nice and clean, nice and dry, and let's put it back together. Now, I'm not going to put together one of them. I'll take the nicer looking of the two and put it together because I got to order parts for that other one. Yeah, so these are going to be this is going to be the one we put together. Yeah, so just like we put it apart, it goes back together the same way. D button, A and B button, membrane, and then the start and select membrane. Boom. And then pick your favorite board. They were both in good shape, so it doesn't really matter which one. And then put it in correctly. Which I don't remember. I think it goes this way. Boom, like that. And then our back plate goes on like that. And then we just go 4 screws back in. And some of these screws were like the gold zinc oxide, or not zinc oxide, whatever it is. The gold kind of brass coated, and the rest of them were silver. So I'm going to put all the silver ones into this controller. That way they all match. It's the little things. There you go. Back together. Everything feels great. And just like that, we got another one ready to go back out into the wild. For a little bonus, we actually also have a light gun. So we'll go ahead and power it on and try out some duck hunt on this Real Deal CRT. Once again, the colors, it's not the console. Nice. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and we will catch you on the next one. Thanks.